Welcome to Doing Different with Kimmy, where women over 50 discuss and embrace new beginnings and share real-life journeys, candid conversations, and practical insights about personal growth. Here you will find women from all stages of life doing different in their own unique and exciting journeys. Whether you're stepping out of your comfort zone, launching a dream project, or simply seeking inspiration, you'll find a community that celebrates you no matter your age. I'm your host, Kim Baker, and each month we'll hear from inspiring women who are reinventing themselves, rediscovering their passions, and proving that life doesn't end at 50, it's just beginning. It's time to shatter stereotypes, reclaim our narratives, and show the world that age is not a limitation, but a launching pad for new possibilities. Thank you for joining us on this empowering journey today, because your voice deserves to be heard and your best days are still ahead. So let's reinvent and rediscover together. Pamela Henkleman, a woman who's walked the full journey of motherhood and now pours her heart into helping other moms thrive in midlife. She's been married for 37 years and is a proud mom of 5 grown kids, 4 of whom are married. Pamela is a coach who's absolutely obsessed with helping moms build strong, healthy relationships with their adult children and rediscover joy in the empty nest. She hosts the Midlife Momma Podcast, where she shares bite-sized encouragement and practical tips you can grab on your commute, during a walk, or while tidying up the house. Whether she's behind the mic or speaking on stage, Pamela comes alive when she's encouraging women. She's warm, transparent, and deeply passionate about helping moms feel seen, supported, and empowered. If you're planning a retreat, conference, or church event and need a speaker who brings compassion, real talk, and wisdom, then Pamela is your girl. Welcome to the show, Pamela. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be with you, Kim.
Well, I'm so happy to have you, and I'm so glad that I saw you on Grace Restored, on Kathy Cunningham's site. I mean, what a joy it was to watch that interview with you and her, and I just am so excited to have you here. And I want to start off with asking you if you can share your journey into midlife motherhood.
Sure. Well, as we were raising our 5 kids, believe it or not, I never once thought about the day when they would all be gone. It wasn't out there. I think you're so busy, involved, and living life that you don't realize there's going to be something after this. And so as the 4th child was leaving for college, I thought, Lord, I'm gonna have to do something. What should I do? And I had always had a dream of writing books. I had been a speaker for many years, and I have the spiritual gift of exhortation. So I thought, well, if I'm going to write a book, I should learn how to write a book. So I
Right.
joined this online writers group, and it was wonderful. And I learned and I grew. And then I think as the 5th child was leaving, after the 5th child left, and my nest was truly empty and it was very quiet, I said, well, Lord, what am I going to do now? Now that I've been writing for a while. And I said, Lord, I think I'd be a great coach. And so I was scrolling on Facebook one day and came across this little quiz that said, would you make a great life coach? And so I took it and I checked every box and I was like, well, I need to do this. So I got trained and certified through Life Breakthrough Academy. And so by the end of 2019, I was trained to be a coach. Well, then great. Now you're a coach. You're like, oh, you mean I have to have a coaching business? I can't just be trained to be a
Oh,
coach. I have to learn how to run the business. So
right.
I've spent the last few years that, and as a writer and someone who wants to publish books, you have to grow a platform, which you do that through your social media and your website. And some people do a podcast, and I said, "Oh, I could do a podcast. I would love that."
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
know anything about it? Absolutely not. I knew nothing about none of it, but I was like, I'm self-disciplined and I'm motivated and I love to encourage moms. And so I started this whole writing thing. I didn't start initially talking about moms. I was just talking about intimacy with God, but I had gone to a writers conference and I was talking to my girlfriend as we were leaving and I said, if I'm going to write these books about parenting adult children, I should probably start talking about it online. And she said, Pamela, you just got to rip off the band-aid and do it. And so I
That's
came
right.
home, I jumped on my Instagram, I changed a little wording on my website, and off I went. And I just started
Wow.
really ministering to these moms because I had such a heart for her because she is forgotten. The world is full of wonderful things as we're parenting in all the stages, babyhood and toddlerhood and elementary school and high school. And then once our kids reach adulthood, the world goes quiet and we're left wondering, what am I supposed to do now? So I really had a heart for her and I didn't want her to feel so alone. This is the greatest transition a mother will go through it's as big as when she first becomes a mother. Learning to let
That's
go
right.
is just as hard, and yet no one's talking about it. No one's telling us what to do. So
No,
through
and
my life experience, trial and error, I just started talking about it and teaching about it, and let me tell you, I've learned a lot of lessons.
that's amazing, and everything that you said
Mhm.
resonates with me because that is exactly why I'm doing my podcast, and I had to learn how to let go, how to do different, which is why it's called Do Different, because
Yeah,
what was I gonna do now?
right,
You are so right about and, they tell us, when you have your first baby, babies don't come with a manual.
right.
So
Mhm.
you don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're taking the advice of your mom or your mother-in-law or whatever. But then as you have another child, then you've learned a few things yourself. Well, how do you I mean, there's not a manual for an empty nest either. And
No.
and everybody adjusts differently, and
Yes.
especially if there's a little bit of strain in the
Mhm, mhm,
relationships. And you are so right. It hit me like a ton of bricks.
mhm.
I felt I grieved and I felt a death. I felt a
Yes.
death. And I never thought that was gonna happen. Like you said, you don't plan for that. You just but
Right.
then one day
Mm.
it's like, "What?
What
What?
happened? I
What
know.
happened?" And the house and the room and oh my gosh,
Yes.
I don't even
There's
like
a
to think
name
about
for
it.
it. There's a name for it, and it's called transitional grief, and
Transitional grief.
no one's talking about it. But you are going through a transition, and it's not a
Yes.
grief that lasts forever because if you are stuck there in that grief, then you need help. That grief
Yes.
should last a little while, but we don't get stuck there. I worked with a client a couple years ago who had been an empty nester for 10 years and she still felt purposeless. And so it was such a beautiful thing to be able to meet with her, give her some tools, and she discovered that she actually had all these beautiful gifts inside and it was the season to use them. So,
Exactly, and it
yeah.
feels so good too to share with others what you've been through
Mhm.
and how to get through it, and that was my
Mhm.
my next question about transitional grief is what was the hardest part of the transitioning, as an empty nester, and how did you grow through it? I mean, I know that you, basically the other question is, were you
Mhm.
codependent at all on your kids, and
I
how
don't think I was. I
you
don't
don't
think I
think you were?
was. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. See, with me, I feel that I
Mhm.
might have been a little codependent,
Uh-huh,
leaning upon,
uh-huh.
um, loving the mothering so much.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you said that you did mention that you discovered, the writing classes and then the
Mhm,
podcast and all of that.
mhm.
Was that mainly how you got through it, or is there anything else that
I really I
helped you
really
get through?
I really think it was because for me, we were a ministry couple. We still are, but I set my dreams on hold for decades. I didn't pay attention to the longings I held. I mean, I've dreamt of writing a book literally my whole adult life. So here I am, 60 years old, and I'm still have the dream to write the book, and I believe that it will happen. But, sorry, I lost the question. The
No,
question
no,
was
I was trying to ask you how you got through it because I know with me, I didn't know the name was
yeah,
transitional grief,
yeah,
but my heart was broke. It was
yeah.
broken. I can't even describe it.
No,
Um,
I can because I did it 5 times. So,
oh my gosh,
every time you think
gosh.
you send a child off to college, you'll be fine. You think by the
Yeah,
5th one, you'll be fine. But
yeah,
no, I
no,
and I got so much better at doing that, though. I let them be the leader, and I let them make decisions instead of with my first child, I was like, "Move over, let me do that for you."
right,
And,
right, right.
but by the 5th one, she's like, "It was time to go, and we knew it was time to go," and she's comforting us.
Right. But see, because she's the last one, that's
Yeah.
when the house
Yep.
becomes really
Yep.
empty.
Yep.
And so that was with my baby too. It
Mhm.
was now it was really empty. Now what do I do?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wish that I had known Kathy. I wish that I had known you. I
Mhm.
wish that I had had the tools 6 years ago to
Yeah.
be able to grow through it.
Yeah.
And that I guess that was my question is how you grew through it. But like you said, you put your mind into um
Something new.
something new,
Yeah.
right, and I
And
heard that.
another
Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I think the key thing to understand is that motherhood is just one role we held.
Yes,
It's not our complete identity. And so if a woman gets all her worth from mothering, then it will be like a huge crisis because you've
that's
lost your
right,
most important job. But I knew
that's right.
that I had lots of roles, and motherhood was one of them. It was one of the most important ones, but I knew that God had more for me, and I was excited to discover what it was.
Yeah, yeah, and with me, it took me getting on my knees and, prostrate before the Lord in my child's room and begging, "Please show me what to do because I don't
Hmm.
know what to do." And it
Hmm.
was only by the grace of God and Him alone that
Mhm.
took me slowly through that transition.
Mhm.
And but again, had I known that other people out there exist like you and Kathy and other people, it would have been so much easier for me, but maybe the Lord didn't want it to be that easy. Maybe He
Yeah.
wanted me to trust and rely on Him to get through it. But now that I do have the tools, it's even that much easier.
Mhm.
And so, my next question is how do you handle the grief of the old season? Okay, so that's a transition. How do you because let me tell you a little bit about what happens with me. If there's a thought or I see something or I hear a song or whatever, that old grief comes back. And
Mm.
so I'm in the middle of embracing my new season.
Mhm.
And so, how do we handle that flooding when it comes back? Because it happened today, and I just said, "No, I'm not going to think about it."
Yeah,
Because,
or
yeah,
you can block it out, but sometimes the better thing to do is take it to the Lord. He's so
yeah,
kind and compassionate, and he's
yeah,
like, "Okay, let's work through this. What's the truth about this? What am I doing now?" Like, we're not meant to live in the past, I don't believe. We have
that's
today.
right.
We
That's
only
right.
have today. Yes, it
That's
was
right.
precious. I would give anything to go back even 10 years, like, life was just simpler. It was just
Yep.
simpler.
Yep.
But I can't. I don't get to
No.
pick. Yeah.
Nope, we can't do that, and I was
Yeah.
thinking about that today too. Oh, it would be so nice. There's some things that I would do over again, maybe
Mhm.
something that I would do a little bit different, and so I don't wanna live back there, and I don't
Right.
wanna live in the regrets, and so
Right.
it's amazing how the Lord does grow us and how
Yeah.
He shows us that He isn't done with us, He's
Yeah.
not done. So now, the next question is, because this is another difficult one, and I have to stop myself all the time from trying to manage when I do see them. How do you shift from managing your adult children to mentoring and emotionally connecting with them without controlling them?
Yes. Here's what happens. If we continually tell our adult kids what to do, how does that make them feel?
Yeah.
Does that strengthen them? No. It makes
Yeah.
them frustrated and they feel guilted into things. They feel like my mom thinks I'm incompetent. She has to continue to tell me to do. And if a mother does not make this shift, this is the single most um contributes most to the decline in the relationship. Kids will just pull away. We live in a culture now where you can just cancel and they'll just
Oh,
pull
yeah.
away. And I don't want my kids to do that. I want to
No.
be a haven. I want my kids to feel comfortable when they're around me. And so my job now is to listen a whole lot more than I talk.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, listen.
Yeah, and I think that I've gotten to that point too, and you're so right. Social media today is really leading our kids in an opposite direction from what we were like with our
Mhm.
moms. I
Right.
mean, if we had issues with our moms, they were the issues and we handled them ourselves. But this influence of, of abandoning them or
Mhm.
emotionally abusing them by
Mhm.
rejecting them and by
Mhm.
alienating yourself from
Yeah.
them, that's
Yeah.
a serious situation.
It's very
That's
serious.
that's why, I feel the more that I see, on these other social media platforms, these people that are doing this, these young adults that are speaking this way, I'm starting to see women our age, even
Mhm.
men that are
Mhm.
speaking out against it
Yeah, yeah.
and speaking about how it isn't right for
Mhm.
that to be happening
Yeah,
to
it's conflict doesn't mean your parents are toxic. You
right.
know, you have to work it out. It's basic human behavior to be
Exactly.
patient and try to understand each other. Now that does require listening. That does
Yes.
require allowing your children to have an opinion, and that's okay, you know?
Yes, yes, and
Yep.
that's something that as a parent and when you're hit unexpectedly, with them leaving or moving out, it's hard to adjust to
Mhm.
not having too many opinions and to
Mhm.
not jump in and try to fix the situation,
Mhm.
but we must. We
We must.
must, must,
Mhm.
must transition and we must shift. So let me ask you this. What's one boundary that's helped you thrive in this season?
Mm. Well, I think understanding and knowing that my adult child is now responsible for their life. I am not.
Yes.
My adult child stands before God for every choice they make. They don't stand before me anymore. And so I am not the Holy Spirit. I'm just their mom. But sometimes I think moms have this inflated view of themselves like, if I don't get in there and fix it, then
Yeah.
nothing good will come of it, but we have to leave room for God to move, for the Holy Spirit to move. And so it takes the pressure off of me when I understand that I'm not responsible for anything that my adult child does. I'm just
Right.
not. As long as I continue to be kind and generous and empathetic, I mean, I'm doing my part in the relationship. I'm not being critical. I'm not trying to fix. I'm not telling them what to do. So I'm being respectful to them. So hopefully they will be respectful to me. I'm modeling this for them. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I think that's huge growth. And we do need those boundaries on ourselves, to
Mhm.
make sure that, because if we don't, we're going to destroy the
Yes.
relationship and it's
Yes.
not worth it. It
Mhm.
really isn't worth it. And as a Christian, isn't it so freeing to be able to trust the Lord with our kids. And today
It's
I even
so
said it, I was
freeing.
talking to the Lord while I was doing the dishes today, and those thoughts were coming, and I'm, nope, you know what? They're yours. They
Yes.
belong to you. You love them even more than I do, which
Yep.
I can't fathom that, but he does.
He does.
And you're in charge. My job is to pray for them, and my
Mhm.
job is to be available to them
Mhm.
and to not judge them, and not to
Mhm.
give advice, not to give unsolicited advice, but to give advice only if asked.
There you go, there you
And
go. Mhm.
that's hard.
It's so
And
hard.
I know there's moms out there listening right now, and they've just started being empty nesters. And I know a few moms myself that are extremely codependent and can't let go.
Mhm,
And it's so important that they're hearing this today.
mhm,
That you got to make that shift. And
mhm.
so, with saying that, what advice would you give to a mom who feels invisible or unsure of her purpose now that she's
Oh,
empty
yeah.
nested?
This I love doing this with my clients, but I take them through it's a 5-page survey, and it's called the Uniqueness Worksheet, and it really helps you look at your giftings, your strengths, your experiences, what motivates you, and who you like to help. And when you go through this and we put it all together and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's what I could do," because your whole life has prepared you for these moments. Everything that you did with your kids, everything you were involved with them was preparation for your future, and so I just like to help moms kind of gather it all in one place and then dream about the possibilities.
That's amazing. And you're so right. I never thought of it that way, that everything that I was doing with my kids, whether it was field trips or advocating for IEPs or
Yep,
homeschooling them half their lives in the public school, half their lives at home, and hearing impairment meetings and all that stuff. It did prepare me for now because it was teaching me leadership, not just
right,
I wasn't just leading my children, but I was becoming, all those meetings in the school system and all those meetings with the doctors and all those. I was learning to not just advocate, but to lead and to
right.
take the reins and not run away from it and sweep it under the table. But I really faced the giants back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
And so I know that God was preparing me, but so that really does make so much sense. So
mhm.
my other question though is, how do you rediscover joy? And how do you um discover your identity with joy outside of this emptiness, or the motherhood and the emptiness? Like the joy, some people, they're in a situation right now where, okay, I'm going to let go and I'm going to let God and I'm not going to give unsolicited advice, but I've lost my joy. And I'm trying to get it back. And how what do you suggest to those
Sure.
moms who've completely lost their joy? They're halfway there. They
Mhm,
have
mhm.
decided
Yeah,
to, put up some boundaries and do a few
yeah,
things, but
yeah,
they don't have joy. It's
yeah.
gone.
I think joy is a byproduct of being with God. Like, He's the source of all joy. We have to learn that our happiness does not come from our relationship with our kids or our role as a mom. And so
Mm,
if you again, it goes back to that identity. If you staked all your worth in motherhood and now you're not actively mothering, all of a sudden you're like, "My joy is gone." Well, there are so many other things to be joyful about.
yeah,
There is God has purpose for you. He has plans for you, and they are good. And so he just invites us close and says, "Let's work on this a little bit." Joy is a fruit of the spirit. It's the fruit of being with God. So
yes.
how then I say, "Well, how's your relationship with God? Where are you at with him?" Start
Exactly,
there.
exactly. And I've heard it said that happiness is from happenings and that
Mm.
joy is unspeakable because it
Mhm.
is about that relationship with
Mhm.
Christ.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people need to get connected with that,
Mhm.
and seek the word and
Yep.
get into his word and live and use the fruit of the Holy Spirit. And
Mhm.
and it's hard. It's really hard, and I can sympathize with those out there that are having a really hard time, but uh it is accessible. You can do it. You
Mhm.
can do it. You can get your joy back,
Mhm.
especially if you're walking with the Lord.
Mhm.
So, what's one small step that every midlife mom can take that is in the middle of her doing different season?
Yes. I think my oldest son gave me this tip years ago, and he's 36 now, and one time we were talking, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but he said, "You know what, mom? I just need I just need you to validate my feelings." And I was like, "Oh, well, well, there you go." So, my grown kids have taught me how to be empathetic. Brene Brown, who's my favorite sociologist, has this wonderful video on empathy. And if you Google Brene Brown empathy, she has this beautiful little video. It's maybe 5 minutes long, and it's this little cartoon character, and he's fallen into a hole. And his friends walk by and say, "Well, what are you doing down there?" And another friend says, "Well, why don't you get out of there?" And then another friend crawls down in the hole and sits next to him and says, "Gosh, it must be really hard to be in this hole." And
Oh,
that's what empathy is. That's
yes.
what our adult kids need. They need us to just validate where they're at in the moment. Whatever they're facing, it's okay to say, "Gosh, I bet that's hard for you. Thank you for telling me about it." So practice
Yes.
empathy. It builds connection, it builds understanding, and it takes the walls down.
Yes, exactly. And it's hard when you've perhaps yourself grown up in a home where that didn't take place.
Mhm.
So now you have to teach yourself how to have
Mhm.
that empathy.
Mhm.
And then there are other, times, like for instance, and when I was a child, my parents didn't like us to be unhappy. They wanted to make
Mhm.
us feel good and wanted us to
Mhm.
be happy. And I think that I was sort of that way with my kids too, because
Mhm.
um, if they're not happy or if something's
Yeah.
going wrong, then oh my gosh, I failed them as a
You
mom.
failed, yes. Mm.
I failed, and therefore, a few times they would say, "Well, we're not allowed." It's like we're not allowed to, be upset. And I'd be,
Mhm.
"Oh, no, no, you're allowed to you can talk to me about anything you
Yeah.
want and you can share." And they're like, I don't
No, I
know
don't
about
think so.
that because you want us to be happy." And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
what mother doesn't?" But that was then. I was
Yeah.
younger and
Yeah.
I didn't have the tools. And
Mhm.
thank God for grace and mercy and
Yes. Mhm.
forgiveness because
Yes.
without that, I mean,
Mhm.
it's impossible to go on without
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So, if somebody this is great. I just love what we've
Mm.
been talking about, and I know that your heart is to speak to others. And if somebody's looking for a speaker out there who brings experience, truth, and wisdom, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on my website at pamelahenkelman.com, Henkelman, and it has a little speaker tab. Just go there and fill out the form. Yeah. Or you can reach me on Instagram. I like to hang out there at P. Henkelman or on Facebook at Pamela Henkleman Empty Nest Coach.
Okay, and we're going to be putting that down also, excuse me, in the uh YouTube under the description of the
Mhm.
podcast. So we'll be
Mhm.
putting all that down too. And Pamela, I want to thank you so much. I mean, this has made such a difference to me to reaffirm some things that I've been working on and to discover some other things. And thank you for sharing your story of hope for our listeners. And I pray that they leave encouraged today, equipped and inspired to face their own challenges as an empty nester with renewed hope and faith. And it was such a pleasure speaking with you. And don't forget, for my listeners out there, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this podcast so we can get it out to as many women as possible so they don't feel so alone in doing their different. And like I said, all links and emails are going to be provided in the description of the podcast below. And if you are a woman over 50 and have a story to share, a passion to ignite, or wisdom to impart, I would love for you to join me on my podcast And until next time, keep doing different.